I've never done this. I know what a slide looks like.
I like all the analogies. Like a hamster that goes under the door.
You have to use those when you teach. I teach other stuff for a living, but I don't teach teachers for a living. Yeah, it's like a table leg. You can actually bend this knee. Now staple. Okay, wait, come back. Flatten and bend that left leg. It should look like this. Yeah, go back and look on that. Is there any way I can Yeah, you want to stay back down. You want an underhook on the right, under the shoulder, through the armpit.
Hello.
Yep.
Don't hurt yourself more.
Hold that out of the way. Slide down your right hip.
What?
On your right hip. Yeah. Put your hip on your right hip. Bring that leg through.
That leg almost up front.
There you go. Bring this all the way through. Good. Now, lift up her arm, pull it off the ground. Send this knee under her shoulder. Good. And then reach under her head. Turn. Put this knee on her hip. This knee. No, just against it, sorry. And then flat. Flat like a hamster. Flatter. Only your knees are up. Like this. Like
What?
that's okay, that's not what we used to say. But you see what I mean? So you don't want to be okay.
So don't push it too hard. You should probably do it multiple times, just like slowly.
Yeah, just want to clear it. You grab the elbow if you want. Just want to make sure it's not there. If I was going to defend against this, one of the ways I would defend against this is to make a frame. Okay, I frame his head and shoulders. Because if he wants to cross face, you try to cross face him. Right? You can't cross face me now. Does that make sense? So I know it's hard when you're practicing and you haven't ever done this before, but there's a reason I'm here. It's because I don't want him to do this move to me. If I lay here, he just does the move to me, right? So what I'm going to do is have you guys just do a very small amount of resistance and try to stay, try to prevent him, just basic, and then he's going to overpower that through sliding through this time. Good. And then the whole thing about the chin, he's going to do that later in this move. So if you start back up where you were, the chin thing in this step is not as important. So he's crossed here. He's going to pull this arm up. He's going to underhook from here, right? And now I've got no frame. So he's free to slide through and then turn his hips. Okay, good. And he's also controlling this arm. And the way he's going to control it is by putting his knee under my shoulder. Drive it under. Yeah, now I'm like turned on my side like a baby, keep doing. Where do I want to be? I want to be here. Okay? But I'm not. I'm here. So I'm done. He's going to choke me or something. So think about that as the person's trying to pass. I don't want you to resist and not let them pass, but be thinking about what you would want to do, which is to frame and stop this and maybe move out and get away, right? And he's like, no, I'm not having any of that, right? And the other thing, which I saw you working on, which is good, is if he doesn't get the underhook. Like he's overhooked. Okay, this is why I wanted to show you guys the underhook part is out. Okay, and then it's just a matter of this. He's in the worst position in jiu-jitsu. Because I can punch him and he can't see me. I can just punch him right in the base of the skull or whatever I want to do, and he can't do anything about it. So it's absolutely the worst place to be. So that's the components. It's like we got the knee to keep the leg from moving. You've got your table, so you don't get knocked over. You've got your underhook. You've got this kind of elbow where the sleeve, you slide through, right? And then this knee has to go under the shoulder blade. So I'm going to hold it and drive it under. I come up to here and then flat. Not up, just stay legs back as flat as you can. And then the only thing they could really do, even on the street, is like bite you. Which I mean, okay, you could bite me, I guess. But there's not a whole lot else. Once you're stuck there and they're latched on, you're kind of done. And then it's time to get a choke or an arm bar or whatever it is you're going to do next. We out of time. One of the things you can do from side control is you can attack this arm, you can attack the neck, and you can attack this arm. Most of the time we go for this arm because it's there, it's right in front of you, right? What are you going to do with that arm, by the way? What would you do? Push on my neck, maybe? It's a pretty good idea, right? Good. Or you might grab it and hold on to me really tight. Yep. But one of the goals I'm going to have is to try to isolate this arm and get it back and make it mine. Okay? And this move I'm going to show you, you can do it from here and you can do it from your mount. So I'll start from the mount, show you the basic way, and that's the slightly more advanced way. So from the mount, what you want to do is get the wrist and the elbow. You want to push. Okay? Now he's probably a good bit stronger than I am with weights and stuff. I never do that, so it's hard for me to do this if I don't get it right, so resist me. Okay, now resist me. Right? You can't because I've got the wrist and the elbow. Alright, so once I've got this down, if this is on the street, you can elbow him on the way, by the way. Drive it across the face, push it back. But in jiu-jitsu, you wouldn't do that. You would just here and then here. Okay? Thumb doesn't need to be here, it can be here. Underneath, palm up. Turn. Latch it into the wrist. Use your feet down on his hips so that he's not going to be able to throw you off. Lean over the shoulder. Don't be up here. And I'm just going to pull straight down toward my own knee. And eventually I get to my knee. And you know what happens? Is his elbow comes off the ground. And that's the tap right there. Doesn't take like an inch off the ground down here. Up here, no tap. Down here, his shoulder is locked. He has to. There's just nothing he can do. So the setup is to isolate one arm or the other. It doesn't matter which one. Wrist and elbow. Elbow to the floor. Hurt them on the process if it's a real fight. Under. There. And then just pull straight down. This is called the Americana or the paintbrush. It's a form of shoulder lock. Okay? That's what we're going to work on next. You can do it from side control, but it's easier to do it from mount. Again, don't let your lower half of your body get out of the game. You're going to kind of latch on the person like you're riding a horse without any stirrups. Does that make sense? Anyone ever ride a horse?
I want to.
I did want to.
Do it two and switch to two. You don't have to alternate arms.
So you want to have what? This hand right here. This. So turn your hand around. So yep. And then this hand on the elbow. And you want the elbow framing her face. And then you want to sweep that hand underneath. No, first you're going to bring that one underneath and then grab your wrist. Turn your hand over. And there you go.
Okay, all the way back. Come back.
It's gotta be like all the way down.
Flat on the ground. Okay. So do everything you just did. Put this palm down. There you go. And just pull it straight along until she wraps. And if she doesn't, you lift the elbow up at the very end. You're not going to keep this down. And not the shoulder. Oh! So what's going on here is
That's underneath.
when your elbow hits your knee, slide out. Don't go around, slide out. Push this a little bit. So you want to be here, and then you don't have to do it very much. See, there's a ramp. It's called your arm. And her arm goes up the ramp. That's all you have to do. sure you keep that lock sturdy. Your wrists are tight, like you're getting ready to break some boards or some cinder blocks or something. That was a good analogy.
Oh, no,
Under,
yeah.
and then over. Yeah, there you go. Palm up, palm down. Slide up the ramp. Do it again. Go back. Start. Hands are up. And you don't want her to do this. Okay. Now moderate resistance only. Palms down. Both palms. Don't try to do it this way. Do it this way. Time that.
I have a question. What is your opinion when you're going against somebody stronger and you're trying to get their arm down and like pressing continuously versus just like trying to force it down?
What do you mean, like that first part of it?
Yeah.
So like if he's like really big and strong
Yeah.
and it just won't go, like a John Price type character.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes you can't overcome it, but the things to make sure of is that you're on the bones and not the fleshy part.
Okay.
Because the levers are much better, so wrist and elbow. And then you use your weight, as much weight as you have without losing your balance.
Okay.
So like I'm pushing with my shoulders and my feet to keep balance. And if none of that works, there really isn't a whole lot you can do. You can do that kind of thing, but that's not usually done here because what usually happens is you get tired of defending. You know, like he's basically one arm bench pressing 180 pounds. Eventually he'll get tired.
So you should put your chest down if anything.
If you have to. See, I've also got this leg back here I can loop under. And then eventually, either he'll get tired or something will happen and I'll get him to here. You know, the game could change in the middle of that too. He could shift out or do whatever, but yeah, I don't know. I've never really tried that. I've never had to do it that way. The other thing is you could just switch to something else, like, hey, I got this. That's the other thing I didn't show you guys yet. The way they teach us is you go for one, and you switch to the other. And that's like, part of jiu-jitsu is it's a chess match, right? If you move this piece and they move that piece, you have to know what to do next. So this is like my lure. He's like, oh yeah, I don't want to do that. And then I do this. And often one person, their arm will be weaker on one side or the other, or just the surprise. So that's what I would do.
All right.
Cool. That's all I have. You know, those funky guards. You guys want to do a rear naked choke, right? Yeah. So let me just make sure you know some details on that. Let's pretend somehow I get his back. A lot of people rear naked choke a lot of different ways. One thing is, you know, obviously you want to get all the way around and your biceps on one side, your forearms on the other. And then this hand is going to come here, right? And then this come down the back, kind of straight down the back, right? And then all you really need to do is kind of squeeze your elbows together. There's a lot of other wisdom that people will share, but this is the basics. You just squeeze your elbows together. I was taught a few different ways. The first way I was taught was take a huge breath, and it pushes them into the choke more because your lungs are expanding. So you can try that. I don't use it as a primary way to do this, but sorry. Oh, you're good. And then keep in mind, no one wants to get choked, so he's going to defend the choke. One of the great ways to defend chokes is to just because you can't choke him. He's covering his own neck, and it's hard to choke a person like that. I mean, there's ways to get around it, but what a lot of people do is they'll either go palms like this or palms like this, and it'll just kind of keep you from doing this. And so you might have to switch to something else. You know, the idea is eventually you want to kind of wiggle your way in somehow. You know, go across his forehead and pull his head back, create a way in, right? Just remember, don't choke from out here. You need to be in tight. Try to get one elbow all the way across, so your elbow's pointing straight down, not here. This is not a rear naked choke. This is how you break someone's windpipe. It's viable, but this is the right way. And you can actually choke without the other hand. What a lot of people in jiu-jitsu do is they resist this by holding the arm down. right? So he's got two hands there. And then as soon as I go to do this, he reaches his hand up and he doesn't want me to do that, right? So what I do most of the time is I just take this back and I do that yoga grip and I just pull it from here. And I just one arm choke. If I can get it. Good at this. So the idea would be, I shouldn't have to work that hard, but most people you can just do this and you can squeeze the right way. And if it doesn't work, you just start leaning back. And then eventually, the weight of me and all the other things happening will. So you don't have to do it this perfect way, but ideally, you're going to have this elbow in, this one in here, it's like a karate chop. Slide down the back of the head, and you're going to push it in, and then you're going to go together. Okay? Yep. So the way people do it wrong are trying to pull back instead of squeezing elbows. It's really just less energy. You don't have to use any muscle. You just squeeze your elbows together, and most people go like. So you want to try that real quick. Just remember, you barely ever get to this position where someone's sitting right in front of you and you've got your legs locked in their face down, or maybe you're on your side like this. You can do it from anywhere, as long as you get the back, which is one of the reasons why you don't want to get your back, is this is a basic thing that's going to happen to you almost every time. And not everybody is so hard to choke as most people, even that train all the time, it's physiology. Your blood gets shut down. You just can't defend it as long as that. Really kind of exciting. Yeah, you don't have to have really big muscles. You don't have to be really strong. You just have to get the placement right, and then slice down the back of the head. Try not to do a whole bunch of other herky-jerky motions. You just end up getting yourself tired, and then your arms dead. And then you have a fight left, and you have no arms because they're and that's what you see a lot if you watch UFC and stuff. You see a guy go for a choke for 3 or 4 minutes, and then the other guy reverses it and just punches him for 5 seconds, and then the fight's over. Like, what happened? He had him. Well, he got his arms tired, squeezing and squeezing and squeezing. Not necessarily doing it wrong, possibly doing it wrong. You want to work on that? Don't knock your partner out. And with your feet, just hook them over the hips, just like around here.